The king finds out when Drew escapes that he is running low on supplies in his fortress, but he still won't leave because he doesn't want to give up the crown to his foes. In the meanwhile, Drew and his friends hide in Alterafra, and when he sees a criminal racing through, the young man decides to go to do something. After a few minutes of chase, Drew manages to catch up the criminal and understands he is chasing Trent. However, when he eventually captures the thief, the young man realizes he was wrong and runs to the council meeting as he is late. Soon, if everything goes as planned, Drew will be crowned. And along using that title, Drew has acquired various vital tasks that he must satisfy. During sword fighting lessons, the young prince discovers that the moment has arrived to choose a wife, and his mother feels that Gretchen would make a magnificent queen. So, he decides to invite his suitor for a walk, which makes Whitley really uncomfortable. During the outing, Drew tries to invite the girl to marry him, but he can't find the proper words to make the request and finishes up giving up. Frustrated by the future king's cowardice, Gretchen decides to depart and runs to her parents' grave, where she is spotted by Lucas. After seizing the girl, the lunatic commands his guys to take her away, but Drew hears the young woman's screams and quickly goes after her. Before approaching the temple, the young man is halted by one of Lucas's guards, who assaults him with a silver spear. Realizing that the prince is in danger, Whitley joins the fight to defend him and ends up being struck. While trying to keep his attacker at away, the young man is cornered and is ready to be knocked off the top of the tower when his pal uses her powers to take down the enemies. Even with his helmet covering his vision, the guard gets up and runs towards Drew with his spear in hand, but ends up stumbling and suffering a fatal fall. In an attempt to find out what Lucas plans to do with Gretchen, Drew encourages Hector to use his skills to bring the guard back and interrogate him. Upon realizing that they are going south, the prince begins to preparing to rescue the young woman, but Hector prohibits him from leaving. His advisor asks Drew to deploy his army after Gretchen as the people need him in Altafra. Seeing the soldier walking approaches the prince, Hector rushes to slash the connection and Drew enlists Whitley's help to cross the city walls. However, just as his pals are about to leave, Hector appears and orders the guards to stop them from leaving. But witnessing the determination in Drew's eyes, the advisor decides to help him and helps the prince leave on his rescue mission. While being escorted to the neighboring kingdom, Gretchen rebels and tosses the guard out of the wagon. In an attempt to pacify his future queen, Lucas decides to sit next to her with a gift of flowers and adds that soon they will govern together. Upon hearing this, Gretchen vows that she will never become his queen and decides to utilize the roses from the bouquet to build a trail to help Drew find her. Thanks to the young woman's scheme, Whitley realizes that her friend has passed by and aids Drew found his way to her. Hours later, when he realizes what his future queen is doing, Lucas gives up trying to win her over and asks one of his subjects requesting help in controlling her mind using magic. However, before she is enchanted, the female slaps Lucas and rushes into the woodland. When she realizes she is being pursued by the prince, Gretchen uses her fox talents to speed up her escape. And thanks to her extraordinary speed, she manages to entice her enemy into a trap. Realizing that he will not be able to catch up with the young woman, Lucas enlists the support of his guards and Van Casken tries to seize her with magic. However, once again, Gretchen escapes and attempts to hide at the top of a tree. But in the end, she is caught by Van Assen, and when she wakes up, she knows she has been dragged back to the carriage. At dusk, Drew and Whitley lose track of their companion, but end up spotting a group of seers along the route. After helping Baba Korga heal her sick husband, the duo realize that the old man has been bitten by a zombie. When Baba Korga shows them the mask the creature is wearing, Drew realizes that the zombie is one of Lucas's soldiers and decides to go after him. While Drew and Whitley fight the undead, Baba Korga witnesses her husband turn into a zombie and assault her family. At that time, Drew is almost bitten by the monster, but Whitley helps him retrieve his sword and the prince eliminates the soldier. Suddenly, Baba Korga's husband comes to the scene, and like the other zombie, his body evaporates after being stabbed. After the struggle, the prince decides to join the seers for the night and notes that Whitley is acting strangely. When asked what happened, the girl replies she is just cold and needs to rest to continue her journey the next morning. But the truth is that she is hiding the fact that she has been bitten. During the night, Whitley dreams that she has turned into a zombie and wakes up terrified, afraid of being abandoned by Drew. When she wakes up, the young woman knows that the illness is spreading, but she continues to act as if nothing had happened and follows her companion on his mission to rescue Gretchen. Seeing the girl attempting to get up, Baba Korga tries to aid her and at that moment understands she has been bitten. Before leaving, Whitley realizes that there is a healer who can help her. According to the elderly woman, Baron Ewan is a famed arcane master capable of healing the body and mind. After taking up the map that will take her to the healer, Whitley says goodbye to Baba Korga and accompany Drew on his journey. Halfway there, Van Kasken realizes that one of the bridges leading to his kingdom has been destroyed and uses his powers to repair it. Suddenly, Drew and his friend emerge and Lucas sends one of his soldiers to prevent them from reaching the carriage. Concerned about the prince, Whitley decides to engage the opponent, but she is weak from the bite. When he sees the girl about to take a fatal strike, Drew changes into a wolf and instantly rushes to defend her. However, during the duel, he ends up being hit by the silver sword and is weakened. Then, Whitley gathers her strength to protect her companion and pushes the soldier down the cliff. Meanwhile, Van Kasken restores the bridge and departs with Lucas and Gretchen. As he tries to approach the wagon, Drew notices that the bridge is crumbling and he must return. At that moment, he begins to prepare to jump, but learns that his companion has been infected. So he decides to change course, knowing that Whitley does not have much time. When she wakes up, the young woman learns that she is being transported to Haggard to meet Baron Ewan. After being expelled from the council for helping the prince escape from Alteraphra, Hector uses his skills to conjure the ghost of his departed father and wonders what to do with Vincent, his older brother. At that moment, the madman appears and decides to interrupt the family meeting. The young man never lamented his father's perishment as he realized that Hector was the favorite son and loathed it. In an effort to further injure his younger brother, Vincent claims that he will tell the council that he is practicing prohibited magic and steals his diary. Vincent's goal is to steal the title of Baron, which now belongs to Hector, and delete his father's name from the history books. While struggling with his brother to try to get his diary back, Hector sees him about to plunge from the top floor and attempts to hold him. However, Vincent stumbles and falls to his perishment. After walking for a few miles holding Whitley in his arms, Drew arrives in Haggard and begins seeking for the healer. However, he soon realizes that the city has been stolen over by Count Kessler and asks where Baron Ewan is. After negotiating with the Count, Drew persuades him to take him to the healer, who advises him to disguise the bite before Kessler decides to utilize that weakness against them. When he realizes that the young woman's life is dangling on a thread, Kessler orders his males to get rid of her. And to prevent his companion from being tossed into the river, Drew discloses that she is a shapeshifter. Knowing that this girl could be highly precious, the Count instructs Ewan to heal her, and Drew is sent to the land of dreams where all the folks are. After his brother's perishment, Hector enlists Vega's help to rid of the body, who urges him to take some time to rest. Vega then returns to the palace. He discovers that King Leopold has sent a letter asking a meeting to discuss the terms of his surrender. When she wakes up, Whitley realizes that she is cured, but Baron Ewan has been driven by Kessler to send Drew to the dream world. The Count's mission is to loot the cities he walks through and destroy them after picking the young folks who will be sent to the fighting venues. As a shape changer, Whitley is even more valuable in the arenas, and Kessler orders his subjects to prepare to flee Adon. Like the Queen, Vega is convinced that the letter is too nice to be real and begins to suspect that Leopold is creating a trap for them. However, Bergen rejects all warnings and insists on meeting the king. So, he schedules a meeting on the bridge of the Alteraphra fortress. While stuck in the dream world, Drew has a crisis of conscience and must fight his wolf version to try to overcome the shame of putting his allies in peril. Realizing that he is confronting his own anxiety, the young prince remembers all the individuals who adore him and finds the guts to defeat the gigantic wolf. At that moment, he manages to escape from the dream world, and when he wakes up, he realizes that everything around him is on fire. After Count Kessler leaves, Baron Ewan runs back to the church and frees all the humanity from their mental cages. With Drew's aid, the old man manages to save everyone and informs them where Kessler is taking Whitley. Immediately, the prince runs to the wooden bridge and seeing her pal approaches, Whitley uses her talents to free herself. After knocking the Count off the bridge, Whitley and Drew return visit the city and discover that Kessler has barred the gate. Luckily, Broggen arrives up just in time and after opening the gates, helps the survivors go to safety. Upon arriving at the bridge to discuss with King Leopold, Bergen and his men learn that they have been enticed into a trap. So, they try to sneak away. However, after hearing some suddenly, Mikkel changes and goes toward the lion, but ends up getting eliminated when his brother is unable to do anything to save him. At morning, Drew and his group arrive in Cape Sugia and walk to the Heavenly Stable, home of the Equids. After crossing the bridge, they are greeted by Lord Conrad, who is a friend of Broggen. After introducing himself, Drew requests for help in locating Prince Lucas, who, according to him, is on his way to Cape Sugia. At that moment, Conrad tells his guards to search the city and leads his visitors to their accommodations that they can rest from their adventure. However, before being escorted to their rooms, they must leave their weapons imprisoned in a chest. And when faced with this requirement, Whitley begins to suspect that anything is awry, but is compelled to reciprocate Conrad's hospitality. The Lord then challenges challenges Drew to a game, the goal of which is to recover a bronze ring from the top of a tower. During the race, the couple must pass through multiple tunnels, and when they are halfway through, Drew realizes that something is wrong. After grabbing the bronze ring, both competitors start a race to reach the summit, and Whitley realizes that Conrad has let the prince pass ahead. After winning the competition, Drew is applauded by the audience, and Conrad admits that he planned to organize a victory banquet to celebrating that night. What the prince does not comprehend is that Whitley is right to doubt Conrad because the truth is that he is holding Gretchen prisoner. During the banquet, the young woman tries to open the weapon's chest to get her baton as she intends to leave that city to look for Gretchen. When she thinks she won't be able to open the lock by herself, Whitley chooses to leaving her weapons behind and is going to depart town when she sees her friend showing in one of the windows of the Heavenly Steady. After escaping Lucas's clutches, Gretchen states that her friends are about to fall into a trap and Whitley watches the Felonid's ships approaching. At that point, the young woman orders Drew to run and assists him discover a way out before Conrad's guards can capture him. After losing his brother, Manfred chooses to go after Leopold in search of revenge. But Bergen tries to stop him, knowing that this is exactly what the king desires. Therefore, the members of the council decide to meet to create an invasion plan. And when she finds that her men are planning to attack Leopold's fortress, the queen notes that this is exactly what the king desires. Instead of submitting quickly, Whitley decides to attack the guards and discovers that Orsino is behind the invasion. While preparing an invasion of Leopold's stronghold, Bergen discovers that Alta Praga is under attack and collects all his warriors to fight back. When he discovers that his brother has fled, Trent volunteers to go after him and explains that the most expedient way to trap a wolf is to use something valuable as bait. At daybreak, when he sees Gretchen's carriage crossing the bridge, Drew doesn't think twice before going after her and is astonished to see that it is his sibling inside. Since his brother lost his life, Hector has been frightened by Vincent's ghost and seeks to use necromancy to make him disappear. However, his power is not strong enough to break the tie between them, and Hector ends up being impacted by his brother to quit his pals. Amidst the bombs being dropped on the city, Hector looks for a way out and comes across the queen. When asked where he is going, the young man explains that they are waiting for him in Redmire. And when he is about to escape, Hector regrets his decision. After facing his brother's ghost, he chases after the queen and they hide together. During the battle, Bergen witnesses his pal Manfred getting eliminated and suddenly knows that the war is lost. At that moment, he orders Vega to prepare the survivors to evacuate the city while he goes after King Leopold. While dueling his brother, Drew tries to climb out of the wagon to go after Gretchen, and they both find up in an accident. When the carriage is going to tumble into the ocean, the two brothers realize that they will have to work together if they want to get out of there alive, and Drew uses his powers to save Trent. Even after being saved from a horrible fate, the lunatic decides to continue his plot to catch his younger brother and continues his pursuit. However, when he finally has the chance to strike Drew, Trent puts away his knife and chooses to make peace with his brother. Seeing this, Lucas grabs a crossbow to shoot Drew, but Gretchen gets in the path and the shot hits Trent in the chest. Furious at the princess's meddling, Lucas chooses to eliminate her, but Broggen sacrifices himself to protect the young woman. After the young man's perishment, Gretchen is escorted to the same cell where Whitley and Ewan are imprisoned and wonders how she will convey her friend that her brother is eliminated. At this moment, Drew is trying to escape from the guards and transfer his brother to a safe spot as he is too seriously injured to fend for himself. Knowing that only an arcane master is capable of healing Trent, the prince decides to hand him over to the guards as this is the only method to save his brother. Seeing his city decimated, Hector feels powerless and runs to the library to acquire his diary. And the queen discovers that the young man has been stealthily practicing necromancy. Meanwhile, Bergen goes to meet Leopold when the two predators decide to face each other. After getting knocked down by the bear, the Lion King is crushed by a timber wagon and Bergen clears the path for his companions to flee. When the Alter Froga library is about to be invaded, Vega arrives and uses his sword to defeat the enemy soldiers. While seeking to justify himself, Hector realizes that he is able to alter his brother's energies and uses it to eliminate the guards. During her time in the cell with Lucas, Gretchen paid close attention to the moves Conrad made to unlock the door and passes on the instructions so that Whitley can unlock the lock. When the door opens, the trio manages to leave the palace and finds Drew, who claims to have an escape plan. Before departing, Whitley chooses to go after her brother. So, Gretchen has had to tell her friend the truth. Upon discovering that Brian is removed, the girl panics, but decides to depart with her buddies. However, as soon as they are aboard the boat, Ewan dispatches them to the dream world. After the city is abducted, Vega guides his comrades to the ship and then manages to sneak through the gates to escape. Meanwhile, Bergen and some soldiers try to eliminate King Leopold and his soldiers in order to prevent him from continuing to pursue Drew. Realizing that he is too weak to beat his opponent, the bear chooses to sacrifice himself and knocks down the pillars supporting the tower so that both are buried. When he wakes up, Drew discovers that Ewan was paid by Van Cassen to betray them, and the necromancer alleges that Whitley and Gretchen are eliminated. At that moment, Broggen arrives as a zombie and tries to bite the prince. Since he is bound by silver shackles, Drew is unable to transform. So, Van Cassen makes him an offer. If he signs a confession saying that his right to the throne is bogus and that he is not Rhaegar's son, Drew will be released. Otherwise, all those loyal to him will be exterminated. However, the young prince refuses to sign his name on that deal. So, Van Cassen decides to threaten Trent's life to prevent his brother's perishment. Drew ends up abdicating his right to the throne, but states that he will only hand up the paper when Trent is released. Instead of liberating the young man, Van Cassen decides to send Broggen to assault him. So, Drew throws the contract into the fire. At that moment, Whitley and Gretchen, who are still alive, manage to free themselves from the trance caused by Ewan and end up being captured by Rolf. Instead of being transported to Van Cassen, the young women are taken to meet Baba Korga, who went after Whitley to return the horse she left behind. Upon reconciling with Ventura, the young woman is moved and Gretchen watches Ewan and Conrad bickering about what they did to Drew. The princess quickly goes to talk to them and discovers that Conrad was threatened. If he didn't aid Van Cassen catch Drew, his entire city would be reduced to ashes. Seeing that they regret their decisions, Gretchen asks seeking help to rescue her companion and reclaim control of Cape Sugia. Meanwhile, Drew is trying to keep the zombies away so he won't be infected. And when he sees Broggen approaching with an axe in his hands, the prince takes advantage of the blow to release himself from his chains. After invading the city, the rebels commence a struggle against the Felinids, and Whitley lowers the lever that causes the floor to descend, taking them to the higher story. Now that he is free, Drew manages to morph and uses his powers to free Broggen from Van Cassen's spell. When he discovers that his pals are alive, the wolf boy feels relieved and assaults Van Cassen, but the rat uses his powers to capture him. The monster then tries to get rid of Trent, so Drew tosses the axe at him. In doing so, the young man destroys the machine that maintained the zombies captured and Van Cassen understands he is surrounded. He swiftly releases Trent and uses his powers to keep the creatures away. However, in the end, the necromancer ends up becoming a victim of the undead he himself created. At that moment, Trent wakes up and realizes that his brother is encircled by a mob of zombies. After being cornered in the tower, Drew understands that his only possibility of survival is to jump into the ocean, and Whitley despairs as he watches his pal plunge to his perishment. However, throughout the fall, the young prince is saved by a bird and brought to Kessler's ship. At that moment, the count says that Drew will never return to his homeland and then realizes that the young man is the son of Wargar, the true monarch of Accidentalia. Upon reconciling with his father, Lucas is persuaded by Orsino to attack his own father to seize power, as he believes that King Leopold is unsuitable to reign. After being stabbed by his own son, the lion sees his greatest fear come true and ends up losing his throne. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.